Hey everyone, and welcome back to Data Driven Value, where we show you the tools and we teach you the skills to help you take your financial freedom into your own hands. So I wasn't going to do a video today. I was pretty busy, but we'll get a bit of an update because there was some news relevant to a video I put out the other day. So we did a deep dive on HIVE Digital, and they had some pretty bullish news. So one of the cons I actually addressed in the video has been, they've kind of addressed it here. And pretty much done exactly what I wanted them to do this year. We see Hive Digital announces an acquisition of Bitfarms Paraguay site. So that's a 200 megawatt Bitcoin mining site, setting the stage for growth to 25 exahash by September 25. So that's pretty insane. That's targeting about 416% growth for the year. And that's definitely the most ambitious of any Bitcoin miner this year that's been announced so far. So really great job from them, assuming that they are able to kind of follow through on the strategy and the timeline. So we do see here that they've signed a binding letter of intent with Bitfarms to acquire the 200 megawatt hydro-powered mining facility, increasing its global mining hash rate from 6 exahash to 25 exahash by September 25. They have enhanced operational capacity. It'll be 300 megawatts total in Paraguay. We talked about their 100 megawatt facility currently being developed. And then, so with this additional 200 megawatts, once fully complete by the end of Q3 2025, roughly, kind of summer 2025 is the goal. They'll have 300 megawatts operational and 430 megawatts total in their global capacity. So massive growth from them, well over 3 times their operational capacity in terms of megawatts and over 4 times in terms of their actual hash rate. And we see here they'll be developed in 2 phases. So we see phase 1 scheduled for completion by April 1st, 2025. Construction 80% complete with the essential infrastructure near readiness. This will add 6 exahash of capacity, hashing in calendar or Q2 of 2025. So pretty soon. It's still a little down the road, but not too far off. 80% complete. So pretty awesome for them to be able to acquire a facility that's already 80% complete, because a lot of the companies kind of developing these data centers, it's a bit of a pipeline to before you really get to energization and hashing. So that's what the kind of the benefit to either buying turnkey Bitcoin mining facilities or something like this, where most of the work's already been done and they just kind of have to come in and finish everything up. It's going to just give them a little bit benefit and be able to achieve a higher hash rate sooner rather than later. So a really strategic kind of acquisition by Hive here. And we see here phase 2 is expected to be complete by August 31st. That'll add 6.5 exahash of hydro-cooled ASICs, saying their total cost to complete the site is going to be 400,000 per megawatt, so pretty competitive price there. We see that also the previously announced 100 megawatt project also on track for energization by June 2025, which is going to be an additional 6.5 exahash. That'll bring their interim target to 13 exahash, but with the 6.5 here and the 6 up here, that's what's going to get them above that 25 exahash target that they've set. They've also secured ASICs for up to 15 exahash. They will need to buy an additional 10 exahash worth of ASICs, which they see here. Plans for additional purchases in the coming months. They're targeting a global fleet efficiency of 16.5 joules per terahash, which is one of the more of the lower ones in the industry once they do achieve it. Iris Energy is definitely top of the line with 15 joules per terahash, and then CleanSpark's coming in at about 17.5 joules per terahash. So we will see that's really good, right top of the class with Hive if they are able to achieve this at that scale. So yeah, we'll see that when it happens, and then we see these investments target rapid returns and ensure improved energy efficiency and thus a lower cost of Bitcoin. So that's when I talk about efficiency being really important for these Bitcoin miners, because the cheaper or less energy that they can use, the more money they're making on every Bitcoin mined. So we do see Hive obviously targeting that industry kind of low standard for efficiency. We do see demonstrates their focus on sustainable growth and innovation. So targeting 3% of the global Bitcoin mining network. So the difficulty may rise by then, and it might not be 3% once they do actually achieve 25 exahash. But we do see powered entirely by green energy. So that's going to be the only company, especially at this scale, that can say that they're 100% green energy. We've even seen other green miners kind of stray away from the 100% green model and kind of use a blended source of natural gas and renewable energy. But we do know that Hive is 100% hydro renewable energy, so great job from them to maintain that 100% green standard and still be able to scale at such a kind of level that they are planning to this year. We do see here that Paraguay's political stability, reinforced by their president's presence at Trump's inauguration, kind of highlights the country's alignment with their with the U.S. economic growth policies. And then they also see that Hive's facilities are going to provide monthly US dollar revenue to the Paraguayan government. So kind of a win-win relationship for everyone here. So Hive gets access to cheap renewable energy, and the Paraguayan government gets gets the taxes as well as the economic benefit of such a profitable company operating in their jurisdiction. Then we see here the transaction details valued at 56 million, includes ownership of the 240 MVA substation with 200 megawatts capacity and the associated land and facilities. 25 million payable at closing. So they're gonna have to pay 25 million to Bitfarms up front here in Q1 2025. And we also see then 31 million payable in equal installments over the following 6 months. Then we also see they're going to assume 19 million of PPA deposits to Andy, and they also will assume the remaining construction completion costs after signing the LOI. And this transaction will be financed by Hive's existing cash and digital currency balance. So I don't think they have much cash on their balance sheet unless they've been utilizing an ATM recently, which I also don't think is the case. But in their recent report, they did kind of report that they had about 30 million in cash, and I think that was used to fund the recent GPU acquisition we talked about the other day. So they don't have much cash left. They're going to probably have to finance this deal with Bitcoin. That being said, it's not going to be a substantial amount of their overall Bitcoin. We can kind of get into that over here. So we were looking currently with Bitcoin at 100K. They have 2,805 Bitcoin as per kind of their last production update. They probably have a little bit more now, unless they have already been selling some, but just because from the mining that they've done in January. But we do see here, even if they had to assume the whole cost of 56 million up front, that's only going to be like less than 1/5 of their overall amount of Bitcoin that they have. So kind of a small amount in the near term, considering how much growth they're going to get out of this and kind of how accretive it's going to be. So I broke that down a little bit, not here, but I kind of just took. So basically, if they were to get the last facility or all those facilities online, even if they were delayed by a month, so I only factored the last 3 months of the year. So just factoring in an additional 10 exahash for those last 3 months of the year, they're probably going to get an additional 250 to 300 Bitcoin. So that kind of definitely just covers the majority of the costs here. So assuming even if Bitcoin stays at 100K, that's 25 to 30 million dollars. If it goes up, it's even more. It could appreciate enough to just cover the whole amount of the deal. It'll be interesting to see if they kind of pay this all up front. I assume obviously they have to pay the 25 million, so they'll do that, and then they'll probably just spread the 31 million out over 6 months. And then I wonder if they'll actually just be selling Bitcoin as they're mining it until they've paid off this and just maintain the majority of their HODL balance. But I do assume that they're going to have to sell at least a small amount to kind of to raise this 25 million, unless they have an ATM available where they can raise 25 million that way. I mean, that being said, selling 250 Bitcoin at 100K is not a bad deal if you're getting an additional almost 20 exahash out of it in the end of the day. So it will be interesting to see what they do. They have a couple options. Either they're going to kind of mine and sell as they mine it to cover the costs, or they'll just foot it up front. So we'll see what they do there. But interesting to see. And now obviously we see Hive targeting the biggest growth of all the miners for next year. And we see it there, their HODL balance currently valued at $285 million. So if they had to spend $56 million, it's not the end of the world. They're still going to have a really good liquidity to market cap ratio, kind of relative to their peers. And then, they'll be able to target that hyper growth that I really wanted to see. So great job from Hive. And we'll be following that going forward. We'll do a little quick market update because there is some more news. And I do kind of want to touch on a few things before. So we do see here our kind of risk ticked down a little bit. We see that our social risk also so social risk really came down. A lot of people obviously came here when Trump started talking about crypto, and then the first dump scared them out. So we're already back to lower social risk on Twitter followers. People have kind of given up, one dump and I'm done. I can't handle it. I'm getting out. I'm going to take what I can get, cut my losses. A lot of tourists already gone. Doesn't matter. Won't sweat them. There'll be more back later. So we'll just keep following this. I just flip over here to the heat map. I'll just show you pretty red across the board for most cryptos. Even looking at the top 200. So obviously you see a little bit of green. We'll get into a few of that later. Some news maybe around some of these that might actually be green, but red for the most part on the 1 day. And then if we flip to the 7 day, obviously everything is still very red. It's just been a dumpy week. Market's really not liking kind of the volatility coming out from kind of the AI related stocks. Flipping over to the SPY. We do see here that we had a bearish divergence here on the RSI. Just looking here, coming in, we did bounce from there, but we came into this 618 resistance, and we are rejecting a little bit with the RSI curling back down, and we're kind of stuck in this volume shelf right here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't at least come down and maybe come back to this level, try to bounce from here and continue up. But what I'm looking at right now is just kind of, yeah, a little rejection here. I think the most likely path is that we come back down to these levels. At least we come down here, maybe test kind of the sub 600 before we attempt to go up again. Hopefully break our not break our all-time high, but it's really going to depend on kind of the FOMC going forward. So a big FOMC meeting tomorrow. We don't need to get too far into it. I don't think they're going to hike rates. There's like I forget what it is, a 3% chance they're going to hike rates. So yeah, we see here, not even like, oh yeah, there's very low chance. Everyone's banking on no rate change because that's what Jerome Powell has said. He has no reason to lower rates. Yeah, just with the way employment is and the way inflation is sticking, there's no reason to lower rates. We did kind of think that, oh, maybe he'll be dovish and he'll lower rates because there was such a steep sell-off rate here. But some of that's already been recovered. So with the bounce in today, I do think Jerome Powell is just going to remain with the same rhetoric. It might be a little bit more dovish. He might kind of reference the market a bit, but I doubt it. I would just expect him to kind of say the same thing. We're going to stay the course until we reach our inflation target and then kind of lower from there. So only expecting one rate cut this year, maybe two in the off event. It would be very unlikely in my opinion. I definitely lean towards one. I know Trump's been pressuring for rate cuts, but again, we'll see if Jerome Powell actually just sticks out and holds his word and does what he says he's going to do. So SPY, yeah, coming into resistance here, rejecting a little bit. What we're watching for kind of on the higher time or lower time frame for potential entry. So we do see here, this is a daily gap fill. So if we flip over to the daily chart, we can see we have this big gap right there. And we also see that we had this bearish divergence over here. So interesting to see we have a bullish divergence. We had a bearish divergence on the low time frame, but we previously had a bullish divergence on the high time frame. So potentially could be looking at a near-term move downwards and then a broad move upwards. So it might be something to watch there. Definitely high time frame kind of potential move here, assuming we get this higher low and we're able to continue breaking this structure. So I've always talked about this downtrend structure. As we came up here and got into these highs, you just see here, this is those lower highs and lower lows, downtrend structure. So actually here, we're going to attempt to break it. Hopefully we come down, maybe we come back to our Fibonacci zone, common place to bounce. Maybe we don't get quite as high, but ideally we could do something like this. That's the most ideal path for a bullish kind of rest of the year. That's what we want. But that being said, we do also have to recognize the potential for this to break down. So if I was entering a position in the SPY rate around here, if you didn't want to hold it kind of for a greater downside, so this is kind of the potential I do see here. I'll just zoom in. If we do experience something similar to the last time the Japan carry trade played out, so that was a 10% correction in the SPY. If we saw that, it would come down right near this 618 level. I think that'd be a really good buying opportunity. But then that also we break the structure here. So I would be a buyer right around here. But if we broke below these lows, then I would kind of be patient and wait either for price to come down to this 200-day moving average or even lower kind of below this 0.5 down to the 618 Fibonacci for kind of a really good buying opportunity. So that's something we'll be watching as well. I'm just flipping over to stocks. Obviously, I'm not going to go into a ton of them. Everything got hammered yesterday. Everything AI related was down like 20-30%. So a little bit of recovery here. Obviously, all the AI stocks going back up 6 to 9, 10%. You see Baba up here. So there is some news on Alibaba. I want to get into that. So I'll look at the chart. This has been a really good chart actually to buy. So if you look at it on the very high time frame dating back a long time here, you see this big support. So that's dating all the way back to 2015. I did have a position in Baba when it came back to this support zone on that higher low. And then it's just a position I have in my not my trading account, my investment account. I've just been holding that. It did have this nice run up, but we retraced all the way back here. But we do see that actually is still a pretty bullish move here because it's just a retrace here. So we do see we came up here. If we pull our Fibonacci tool, see price came down kind of right around that 786. And then we do see that downtrend structure here, playing out and then broken out. So now what I want to see here is that higher low retest. So looking something like that, maybe it comes back down here and then we have an additional entry and we can ride this swing trade up to resistance here and then ultimately up to higher resistance up here, that Fibonacci resistance. But yeah, really looking at decent swing trade potential here for Baba. So we'll follow that. Obviously, if you weren't already in this, this isn't the trade to take right now. You can see we're already almost halfway through the first profit taking target. So not taking this. Yeah, we're just watching it, and then this would be the additional swing entry down here. But yeah, you can see kind of the rest of the AI stocks all recovering a little bit. China also announced they're going to inject billion, I think it's hundreds, 140 or something US dollar, or billions of US dollars into AI related stocks in China. So we also see this is kind of why they were pumping here. Alibaba launches new, more powerful AI models. So we talked about this the other day. Kind of the big space race in AI models and DeepSeek really throwing the market off. So interesting to see that DeepSeek launches a more powerful AI model and the market crashes, and then Alibaba launches a new, even more powerful AI model, and then the market pumps. So don't really know what's going on there. Tons of volatility, especially around this FOMC meeting. It's kind of why I'm not really trading right now or not really interested in buying too much. Most of the things I have already bought, I've bought at lower cost bases, and if I want to accumulate more, I'm just going to be patient. I don't really want to buy when things are really volatile and get caught on the wrong side of a move. I'd rather just wait for that confirmation and then enter the positions that look bullish going forward. That being said, we're always kind of just watching everything. There's a lot of different opportunities, so just stay on your toes. Don't over risk yourself or over leverage or kind of jump into anything you're not comfortable with. There will be more opportunities, so we'll just follow that going forward. Again, I don't think we're going to have a rate cut tomorrow, so there may be even more volatility, but it's priced in, relatively speaking. But just getting back on topic here, we see AI rival Alibaba Cloud here released a new family of artificial intelligence models capable of performing a number of text and image analysis tasks. It's a series of large language models independently developed by Alibaba Cloud, and it can parse files, analyze videos, count objects and images, and control computers, similar to OpenAI's new operator model. It fares better than Microsoft-backed OpenAI's GPT-4o, Amazon-backed Anthropic Claude, Sonnet, and Google's Gemini 2 in Flash and Math, document analysis, video analysis, and question answering evaluations. You can see it also can interact with software on mobile devices and PCs. So this is exactly what we were talking about, that AI model space race. Essentially, there's just going to be more and more powerful AI models being developed every single day or week or month. All these companies, there's tons of different companies all developing these things. It's kind of a crazy space. I'm sure there's a lot of money to be made, but I kind of am a little weary to get into anything based on this because it could just be a bit of the past the next day. I do really like to focus on the infrastructure plays. That's kind of why I like Bitcoin miners as well. They're a bit of an infrastructure play on Bitcoin. So similar to that, kind of the people who are going to provide the infrastructure to the AI companies, because again, there's always going to be AI demand. All these companies do need data center capacity as well as the chips and the servers to complete these tasks. So yeah, focusing on them and kind of letting these people hash it out in terms of who has the best model, but we'll kind of follow that going forward. Again, I'm sure we'll see more and more models coming out, and I wonder if there might be more market volatility or if it was kind of a one-off kind of thing. But yeah, we do see here obviously no rate cut likely. A bit of bullish news here. I guess it depends what you consider bullish news. So we see here Bitwise files with SEC for spot Dogecoin ETF. So we're seeing a lot of different cryptos that aren't Bitcoin kind of being applied for different ETFs now that Trump and their crypto-friendly administration is in. So we see here Bitwise filed to list an exchange-traded fund tracking the price of Dogecoin. You see Doge has amassed a $47 billion market cap since launching in 2015. So it's actually one of the oldest cryptocurrencies. In terms of meme coins, it's the safest and the oldest for sure. It's one of the only ones I would actually kind of recommend to anyone who's new to crypto. And you want to get into meme coins, like Doge is a decent option. But that being said, it's such a large market cap already. And it is a meme coin, so you have to really take it with a grain of salt. But that being said, it's one of the oldest cryptocurrencies for sure. They did list Coinbase Custody as the proposed custodian. They've also filed recently filed to list a spot Solana ETF and an XRP ETF. They also filed to list a top 10 crypto index fund. So that would track 10 of the largest cryptocurrencies, including kind of Cardano, Uniswap, Polkadot, some of the other ones. Interesting to see. It didn't affect Dogecoin's price positively. I think most of these ETFs are already priced in. Everyone knows the Trump's administration is crypto friendly, and we've seen kind of here obviously more Grayscale filed for a Solana ETF. They also filed for a Litecoin ETF. So yeah, all these different ETF filings for assets that aren't crypto. And then we see here, I guess it depends. It's bullish if you're an XRP holder. I'm not an XRP holder, and I don't believe in XRP, and I don't really like the company behind XRP, but I kind of digress there personally. But we see here, obviously, the CEO of Ripple disclosed that he spoke with President Trump about XRP as a strategic reserve asset. I don't think anything other than Bitcoin should be a strategic reserve asset. Even Bitcoin, it's took a lot to get it to where it is today. And the fact that nation states are just starting to adopt it really says a lot. It says we're not ready to kind of start adopting some of these small cryptocurrencies, especially these ones that have teams and founders that have been incentivized by the growth of their currencies. So Brad Garlinghouse and some of the other executives in Ripple have actually really profited a lot off the growth of XRP. They've sold it a lot in the past, I'm sure just to fund their lifestyle or whatnot. Made, yeah, they've just made a lot of money off it. So I don't feel good kind of with companies like that really pushing this as a reserve asset to someone like the president, because they have economic incentive because they've already got massive allocations of this. They've got massive early allocations. It's not the same as Bitcoin where no one had an advantage. So you could have mined at the same time as Satoshi first mined. And also, no one knows who Satoshi is. No one knows if Satoshi is still alive. So that being said, these other projects, they have teams behind them. They have CEOs. They're essentially companies. So to basically for these companies to become reserve assets on the government's balance sheet, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. And there is actually a lot of bias in that. I think it does make sense to just have Bitcoin. Obviously, they think differently. And we do see here President Donald Trump. We've seen his World Liberty Finance company buying different altcoins, so they're kind of bullish on crypto as well. But we have seen other articles say that they're not going to adopt a strategic reserve that is outside of Bitcoin. So I hope that's the case. We'll see going forward. They're going to assess whether to establish a national digital asset stockpile. But the cryptocurrency market believes that Bitcoin, the greatest institutional adoption asset, could be a possible reserve, and I argue should be the only potential reserve for a government to hold, especially in the near term. Maybe 3-5 years down the line, we can start talking about other assets. ETFs is fine; like give people access to the actual assets, but the government should not be custodying XRP or Solana or Dogecoin for people on behalf of people. That's taxpayers' money. They deserve to have real hard money held on the balance sheet like Bitcoin. So I'm really kind of against that. We'll see what happens going forward. Yeah, just following that. On a different note, we see here Musk X partners with Visa on payment service and their effort to become the everything app, teaming up with Visa to offer real-time payments on the social media platform. So the reason I kind of am talking about this because it might allude to some other partnerships down the line. We all know Elon Musk is a big proponent of Doge and Dogecoin, so I wouldn't be surprised for them to kind of incorporate Doge or other cryptocurrencies into the X platform. It's kind of something I expected him to do for like months or years now. Even essentially since he bought X, I always figured, Dogecoin was a decent bet because he's gonna pump it and he's gonna integrate it into X. Like you can just tell, he's gonna do it. He loves trolling people, he loves memes, and he loves Dogecoin, and he wants to make X that everything app. So we see here it's going to support an in-platform digital wallet with peer-to-peer payments. So that sounds a lot like crypto, doesn't it to me? Like that's what I think. That's what I think when I hear digital wallet and peer-to-peer payments. So how are people going to be able to buy these cryptos? Essentially, that's where I think Visa comes in play. And what they've done is kind of secure the Visa partnership first. I think what you'll be able to do is fund your account through Visa, through the Visa Direct, and then you'll be able to purchase different cryptos and then send those to different peers on the platform. So we'll see what actually happens going forward, but I think that could be a potential path going forward. We see these services will be powered by Visa Direct. Yeah, whether X money will become available to consumers in other countries and perhaps through additional payment partners in the near future is still unknown. and the exact date for this launch is also not announced. So we'll just be following that going forward. But again, it's something we've assumed was going to happen in the future. And how near term that actually happens, sorry about that, is we'll see in the future. But bullish news here again just kind of opens up more possibilities to integrate crypto and other payment services within kind of such large areas of our culture. So like, yeah, everyone's on X, and yeah, there's a lot of money going around there. I'm sure lots of people kind of wanting different access to certain cryptos, and if they could really make it easy for everyday people to access these, because I don't know about anyone else who's had friends and family that kind of, when you have to help someone get set up for crypto, it's tough to really teach them and make sure that they're staying safe and they're on a reputable platform. So kind of these options for certain people, it really does make sense and kind of opens that or it kind of eases the access barrier for a lot of people. So we'll follow that going forward. Out again, I think there will be an integration with Dogecoin. And then last but not least, we'll end with some bearish news because we can't be bullish the whole time. We see here French investigators open money laundering probe against crypto platform Binance. And we see here January 28th, the French investigators said they have opened a judicial probe into money laundering, tax fraud, drug trafficking, and other charges against crypto platform Binance. So this is kind of, again, something I talked about in a previous video. Despite the fact that we are having ease of regulations in the US and the West, it's still not that way in other parts of the world. So we'll see kind of what happens with this. Obviously, Binance didn't immediately respond to this, so we'll see what they say. I'm sure. I don't know what. I'm sure that someone using the platform Binance. So essentially, they're probably just going to end up having to settle and pay some sort of fine. Likely, there was some sort of criminal activity that occurred where they utilized Binance to move some funds around. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so interesting to see a little bit of regulatory crackdown elsewhere in the world while kind of ease of regulation in the West. So just following that going forward again. But that's kind of it for the day. It was a little quicker video. Covered some news, covered HIVE Digital. So we'll just be watching this going forward. And yeah, kind of just following this. Hopefully they execute on this growth plan. It's really bullish for them, and I'm excited for the year, and we'll see what happens. So thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the content, you learned something new, please like, share, and subscribe. It all means the world to me, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, guys. Bye.